This evening it's normally Divya Mataji who wasn't feeling well, and I had some other service which I was trying to evaluate whether I can do this or not. But then when it came to deciding whether should we cancel or have it, I decided to go ahead and have the session, although we are a little bit late, so I'm really sorry. So let's make a start with today's verse, which is a very powerful, very beautiful verse, although the purport is short. So let's look at the verse from today. Paravara Chana Sarishi Kale Navyakta Ramasa Yuga Dharma Vyatikaram Praptam Bhuvi Yuge Yuge. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The great sage Vyasadeva saw anomalies in the duties of the millennium. This happens on the earth in different ages due to the unseen force of time. Purport. The great sage like Vyasadeva are liberated souls, and therefore they can see clearly past, present and future. Thus he could see the future anomalies in the Kali age, and accordingly he made arrangement for the people in journal so that they can execute a progressive life in this age, which is full of darkness. The people in journal in this age of Kali are too much interested in matter, which is temporary. Because of ignorance, they are unable to evaluate the aspects of life and be enlightened in spiritual life. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavanamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyat Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhuve eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Tapta kanchana gaurangi radhe vrindavaneshwari vrishabhanu sute devi pranamami hari priye. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So let's look at the verse once again. The great sage Vyasadeva saw anomalies in the duties of the millennium. This happens on the earth in different ages due to the unseen force of time. So once again, my apologies for being late, and I do not have slides, so I will speak from some of my few points from the purport, and we will discuss another verse which points out the real essence of this particular verse and the purport Prabhupada is giving. In the purport, Prabhupada said that the Vyasadeva was a liberated soul, and therefore he could see past, present, and future. So some of these empowered personalities, they're called Trikala. Trikala means one who can see the past, present, and future. This name has been used for some other personalities in Bhagavatam. Can somebody give me the names of those personalities who have been referred as Trikala? You can either unmute yourself or you can message me on the chat box. Anyone?
Sorry, Prabhuji, what was the question?
So the question is that here Prabhupada in the purport is referring to Vyasadeva as being someone who could see past, present, and future. In other words, Srila Vyasadeva is Trikala, one who can see past, present, and future. So my question was, in Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Vyasadeva is not the only personality who's been referred as Trikala. There are few others, and I was requesting devotees to share who do you think is being referred or you've come across in Bhagavatam as Trikala.
Shivji?
Yes, that's correct. So Lord Shiva is referred as Trikala. Are you able to remember a reference? There is a beautiful pastime where this reference was made in the purport by Prabhupada. Let's see if somebody is able to remember that beautiful pastime. Let me give a little hint. This particular pastime is to do with the demon Lord Shiva and Parvati, who was actually not a demon in real sense.
Is it Chitraketu, Prabhuji?
No, Premila Mataji. Close. Well, yeah, it's Vritasura. So if you remember in the pastime of Vritasura, when he was there and he kind of smiled and laughed, seeing Parvati seated on the lap of Lord Shiva and made, in one sense, so-called offense. However, the reference was then made in the subsequent verses that Lord Shiva being Trikala, he knew that this is providential. And why this has happened? It has happened ultimately for the deliverance of Vritasura in his next life. And who was he in the next life? Vritasura?
Chitraketu was Vitras.
Yeah, sorry. Chitraketu was Vritasura. So in answer to your question, Premila Mataji, yes and no. So it was a no because this reference was made while he was Vritasura, but he was Chitraketu. So here we see Lord Shiva could actually see that he knew his previous life. So he was Trikala in that sense. Another personality who's referred as Trikala is Srila Narad Muni, because Narad Muni arrives in the places like, for example, in Lord Krishna's pastimes, when Kamsa was trying to create atrocities towards Vasudev and Devaki, and then there was a sense of compassion which evoked in his heart, and he decided to hold on and not to kill the children. But Narad Muni appeared because he wanted to expedite the pastime of the Lord, because he was eager to see Krishna appear. So he said, what are you doing? Kill them. You never know who's going to be Krishna. So in that sense, that's one example. The other example is when Narad Muni was there, and how does he appear? Dhruv Maharaj is kind of told off by his stepmother that get away from here, and then he goes to his mother, who says, go find Krishna in the forest, and he leaves. There is no sign of Narad Muni, but lo and behold, Narad Muni appears, and he gives that benediction, and he gives that blessing, he gives the Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya prayer. So why is Narad Muni there? Because he's Trikala. Then in another pastime of Narad Muni, he's there when Prahlad Maharaj is there. He is, even before Prahlad Maharaj is born, he's reciting Bhagavatam, because he knew that there is a beautiful devotee in the womb of Kayadu, the mother of Prahlad Maharaj, and he's gonna deliver the world. And so he knew that. So the word Trikala is used. So here in this, similarly, this here Prabhupada is saying he could see, and thus he could see the future anomalies in the Kali age. So some of the anomalies, I want to take your attention to a particular verse, which is a very famous verse, which you all have heard. Let me take you there on the Zoom. We can explore that verse a little bit here, if I'm able to get to that screen. Hopefully now. So here, this is a famous verse from the first canto, first chapter, 10th verse. Prayenu alpeshu sabhya kale asmin yuge janaha manda samanda matiyo manda bhagya upadrita. Here in this verse, what is the verse saying? It's saying, O learned one, in this iron age of Kali, men have but short lives. They are quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. So would anybody like to read this very illuminating purport? We should read it really to understand that how this Kali Yuga is kind of a setup for two reasons. One, for devotees to understand that, okay, well, this is not my natural habitat. And second reason, to really emphasize the first point, that this is not my natural habitat, but to also think that actually this material world is, in a sense, a place where I can come to the realization that I had enough of enjoying the material world, and I can see the various degrees of uh, fall in the consciousness over a period of time, and especially in this age of Kali Yuga, and why I should try and save my every minute for cultivating Krishna consciousness. So, can I have one, two, three, four volunteers to read the first, second, and then we'll divide the third paragraph into two.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Saroj Mataji, please read the first paragraph of this poem.
Hare Krishna. The devotees of the Lord are always anxious for the spiritual improvement of the general public. When the sages of Naimisharanya analyzed the state of affairs of the people in this age of Kali, they foresaw that man would live short lives. In Kali Yuga, the duration of life is shortened not so much because of insufficient food, but because of irregular habits. By keeping regular habits and eating simple food, any man can maintain his health. Overeating, over-sense gratification, over-dependence on another's mercy, and artificial standards of living sap the very vitality of human energy. Therefore, the duration of life is shortened.
Thank you, Mataji. So you see, very nice point. Look at such an appropriate collection of words Srila Prabhupada is using in this paragraph. He's saying overeating, over sense gratification, and over dependence on another's mercy and artificial standards of living sap the very vitality of human energy. So very important points. When we live so much depending on others, so much depending on the mercy of others, so much depending on the artificial means of living, it really saps the energy from us, which is really meant for cultivating Krishna consciousness. In Bhagavad Gita, in the verse, I think, where Krishna speaks about that one should not sleep too much, one should not sleep too less, should not eat much, should not eat less. There, Prabhupada also comments this point that, one has to be moderate, one has to be regulated in his habits. And somebody who's regulated in his habits, he's regulated in his thoughts. And someone who's regulated in his thoughts, he's regulated in his statements. And someone who's regulated in his actions, and someone who's regulated in his action is regulated in his statements. So it's a cycle which one has to adopt, this natural way of living life. That's why Prabhupada emphasized so much of farm, natural living, and this Varnashram dharma, and having a farm community where things are grown naturally, cows are being looked after, the devotees are engaged in the preaching activities. So that's the way, that's the model. The only way the Kali Yuga can be counteract for some time, or one can try to find ways of living simply, is through those farms. Actually, it's a very fundamental aspect of our Krishna consciousness. Okay, let's have somebody else to read the second paragraph, please.
Okay.
Yes, Krishnangi Mataji, go ahead. And then whoever said wanted to read, could you tell me your name now so I can have you read the first part of third paragraph?
The people of this age are also very lazy, not only materially, but in the matter of self-realization. The human life is specially meant for self-realization. That is to say, man should come to know what he is, what the world is, and what the supreme truth is. Human life is a means by which the living entity can end all the miseries of the hard struggle for life in material existence, and by which he can return to Godhead, his eternal home. But due to a bad system of education, men have no desire for self-realization. Even if they come to know about it, they unfortunately become victims of misguided teachers. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So what is Prabhupada is saying, that it is a hard struggle for material existence. And if this, and the point Prabhupada makes and concludes is that he said, but due to the bad system of education, men have no desire for self-realization. In many places, when Prabhupada is speaking to the reporters or the devotees, he really, harbors this point so much, saying that there are no colleges to teach people, give this knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, and that is a real difficulty, because people are being educated in the so-called education system, which is only limited to the material platform or the bodily platform. It doesn't take them beyond that. So that's why this is a real challenge for us. So let's have another volunteer read the first part of this paragraph, as starting with, in this age men are victims, and to finish by the word called the body here.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, can I read?
Yeah, go ahead, Mataji.
In this age, men are victims not only of different political creeds and parties, but also of many different types of sense gratificatory diversions such as cinema, sports, gambling, clubs, mundane libraries, bad association, smoking, drinking, cheating, pilfering, bickering, and so on. Their minds are always disturbed and full of anxieties due to so many different engagements. In this age, many unscrupulous men manufacture their own religious faiths, which are not based on any revealed scriptures. And very often, people who are addicted to sense gratifications are attracted by such institutions. Consequently, in name of religion, so many sinful acts are being carried out on that the people in general have neither peace of mind nor health of body.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you.
One more devotee to read the second part of the paragraph.
I can read it.
Go ahead, Chaitanya Mataji.
The student qualified communities are no longer being maintained, and householders do not observe the rules and regulations of the Grahastha ashrama. Consequently, the so-called Vanaprashthas and sannyasis who come out of such Grahastha ashramas are easily deviated from the rigid path. In the Kali Yuga, the whole atmosphere is surcharged with faithlessness. Men are no longer interested in spiritual values. Material sense gratification is now the standard of civilization. For the maintenance of such material civilizations, man has formed complex nations and communities, and there is a constant strain of hot and cold wars between these different groups. It has become very difficult, therefore, to raise the spiritual standard due to the present distorted values of human society. The sages of Naimisharanya are anxious to disentangle all fallen souls, and here they are seeking the remedy from Srila Sutta Goswami. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. So here you see, Prabhupada makes some really key points. He talks about that how the society has so many ways of enjoying the material life, the cinemas, the gambling places, the clubs, the mundane libraries. There's no dearth of these things, and their minds are always disturbed and full of anxiety. Like we have someone at our place who was telling us that in India, the Kali Yuga has progressed so much that so many people living in the metro cities, the wives are having to pick up their husband from the clubs when they can't even get up after being drinking. And it is sad, because seeing India to go through such difficult phase, because India is supposed to be the most richest country in the world as far as the inner happiness is concerned, or the real wisdom is concerned. But now there is so much of competition in catching up the West, that we are really losing the sanctity of what Bharat is, or what India really is all about. India is actually all about our Vedic history. It's all about our Vedic literature, not so much about the Kohinoor and the gems which was taken away. But the real Kohinoor, that's why you remember a pastime of Prabhupada in London when he was, I think he had just arrived from US, and he came down the aisle, sat, and the news reporter was there, and he said, Swamiji, why have you come to London? And Prabhupada looked at the reporter and said, well, I have come to give you, as obviously a British person. He said, I think something to this effect, I'm paraphrasing, that you came to India, you took away everything, but you forgot to take the most important uh, thing, which is the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, and that is what I've come to give. So, only Srila Prabhupada can make that such a profound statement, and it is so true to its words if you think about it for a moment. Actually, who can take what from India? The real soul, or the real soul of India is Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Our Vedic text, the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who only appeared 500 years ago, are our actual wealth, not so-called civilization which is engaged in all these things. The other point Prabhupada makes here is that men are no longer interested in spiritual values because the increase in sense gratification is so much that, and when you can see, when we are inclined towards such activities, naturally there is a drop in our ability to focus on spiritual activities. And in order to focus on spiritual activities, you need a lot of sattva gun, like mode of goodness. Because mode of goodness is illuminating, you're able to distinguish between what is right and what is wrong. But that only comes when there is a deliberate effort to seek knowledge, when there is a deliberate effort to get up early in the morning, when there's a deliberate effort to to reflect in the life that, no, I want to make a significant progress in this very life because I have a human birth to perfect my life. And then Prabhupada ends this particular, the sages of the Naimisharanya are anxious to entangle all fallen souls, and here they are seeking the remedy from Srila Sutta Goswami. And you see the similar way Prabhupada ends the text which we had today, that how he said that because Vyasadeva could see those anomalies, and he was eager. The people in general in the age of Kali are too much interested in matter which is temporary, and because of the ignorance, they are unable to evaluate the assets of life and be enlightened in spiritual knowledge. And that is the reason why Vyasadeva particularly gave this knowledge for the enlightenment and for the re-spiritualization of the uncivilized civilization. You can see, Prabhupada writes, right, in the preface of Srimad Bhagavatam, that this Bhagavatam will bring about the revolution in the world's misdirected civilization. That is the line Srila Prabhupada uses. It's such a profound line, actually. So I want to end here because the idea was to still finish at 8:45, because getting late is not a good idea by all means, and especially I don't want to be late tonight when we have such a beautiful day planned tomorrow, a historical moment in the history of Bhaktivedanta Manor. Our dear Sutapa Prabhu will no longer be called as Sutapa Prabhu. He is about to take sannyas tomorrow. So I'm sure all of you are looking forward to seeing that ceremony. And I am super excited because one of the things we should meditate and think of is, it is a sign of detachment, it is a sign of further engagement, and it is a sign of further enthusiasm and determination and sincerity in progressing towards Krishna consciousness. And with that mood, we should pray for us, pray for the devotees, pray for Sutapa Prabhu, pray for everyone, that let that same mood permeate my existence, let that same mood come into me, that I become sincere. Sannyas is not necessarily just taking a dress and a danda in the hand, which is very important, but it's an external element of our society. But more importantly, it's about our internal consciousness. Prabhupada was speaking in a lecture when I was doing my service of polishing deities paraphernalia a few days ago at the temple, and Prabhupada was saying a sannyasi is a sannyasi who is also in saffron and with a danda, but even a grahastha who's following the regulative principles and engaged in devotional service and living happily with one wife is actually also a sannyasi. And that statement was very profound for me, actually. He's also called, Prabhupada said, sorry, brahmachari, that's also called brahmachari yagya, because in this age, it's very difficult. It's not a easy place to live in. So on that note, let's stop here to see if anybody has a comment or a reflection or a question. like to congratulate Sri Kishori Mataji, who got initiated a few days ago, just 2 days ago, by His Holiness Kadambakana Maharaj, who was earlier known as Santosh Mataji, who's dedicatedly serving on many services, but one of them is on Chat Plus. She's the one who actually inspired me today. That she constantly messages us to see did we find someone. So I'm grateful, Mataji, that you keep us on our toes, and I wish you all the best for your spiritual life and for taking this.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very
Thank you.
much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
So we also have a couple of other devotees who took initiation. One is Prabhuta Mataji, who's now called, somebody can remind me, and if she's here with us. What was the spiritual name given to Prabhuta Mataji? Does anyone remember? Okay, maybe later on. Also, I wanted to make an announcement that yesterday on Ekadashi, we launched our next retreat to Jagannath Puri, Mayapur, and Calcutta. And it's a retreat which we are taking in the half term in February, going to Calcutta, covering Prabhupada's birthplace, as well as Ultadanga Junction Road, where Prabhupada met his spiritual master Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and got his instruction to preach in the West. And then we will go over to Mayapur for 5 nights. We will be there, and then we will travel to Jagannath Puri, and we are visiting many places. On next Tuesday, if I'm doing the session, I'll be happy to take you across those places and talk about it briefly, but just wanted to make an announcement. If anybody is interested in having the details, then feel free to reach out to me and I can share the brochure with you all, and you can express your interest if you'd like to come. Mataji has just shared, Shri Kishori Mataji, that Prabhuta Mataji's initiated name is Pushti Devi Dasi. Pushti Devi Mataji ki jai. Haribol. Very nice.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
The trip you're taking to Mayapur,
Yes,
you
Mataji.
say to contact you, but I don't have your contact number.
Oh, sure. Let me put down my number here, Mataji. I will just leave it here. 527-424. If you just WhatsApp me, I'll send you the brochure of the retreat. Anybody is interested, you can send me your WhatsApp on this number I've just shared, and I'll send you. It's not just Mayapur. We are doing 3 places. We are covering Calcutta, Mayapur, and Jagannath Puri, and we will have some really nice trips. We will have a lot of activities. We'll have journal writing, and the accommodation it's going to be quality accommodation in both Calcutta and Jagannath Puri. Calcutta is only 1 night, and we are going to go direct flight to Delhi and then stop over and then go over to Calcutta, stay 1 night, next day go to these places of Prabhupada, and then travel to Mayapur. That's the idea. And we have a wonderful association of Madhavananda Prabhu in Jagannath Puri, who's a disciple of Srimad Gaur Govind Maharaj. He's been living in Jagannath Puri for over 2 decades, I think nearly 25 years. And I've had the privilege to take his association on many yatras I've been to Puri. And he is absolutely amazing. He really transports us to the various pastimes of Mahaprabhu when we are in Jagannath Puri. So we will definitely have him. Any question? Hare Krishna, Hema Mataji.
Not circulate the brochure because it's a very nice trip that you've organized and everyone can see and
Okay, now that Hema Mataji has encouraged me, so if it is okay, would you like me to at least share it on the Zoom here, and then I can circulate it in the group on Tuesday after once everybody has seen it? Would you like to see it now?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, let me just bring it up 1 second. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. So the retreat is called Appreciating Mayapur and Jagannath Puri Dham. I like to use the word appreciating because that's the real idea of going to these places, to appreciate dhams and build relationship with dham. Dham are actually living entities. They are personified persons, and we develop relationship with those personalities and those and especially the pastimes which took place there. So this year we are doing in October, which is unfortunately sold out. I did not anticipate that so many devotees would sign up, and now we have not even a single place for Vrindavan. And I'm very conscious because it is Kartik, it's going to be busy, and that's why, although there is an interest, but I had to say no because there's only so much I'm able to accommodate, and it's my first retreat, so I want to make sure the experience is nice. So this one has just been opened. It's a pilgrimage in Calcutta, Mayapur, and Jagannath Puri. 3 holy dhams. We will come together for sadhu sangha, kirtan, Krishna katha, and we will try to do some little service in dham. Madhavananda Prabhu and my Guru Maharaj talks about when we go to the dham, we should really think, how can I serve dham? Be it, can I give some prasadam to the Brajavasis? Can I give them a book in their languages? Because they may be Brajavasis, but they may still be missing that little link for pure devotional service in the sense of getting connected to Srila Prabhupada. So we try to give out some books. It is in the half term. Although if somebody is going with a family, you may be losing out on 3 days of school. Just want to mention and pre-warn everybody, because we are flying on Wednesday night and arriving on Tuesday early morning at 6 o'clock. So you'll be home at 8, and it'll be a night direct flight from Delhi. You would rest. So the kids should be able to go to the school after an hour later or something, so you don't miss out on the 4th day. But just so that everything is clear, I want to let you know. Really, the retreat is, it's a natural part of life, and it gives us an opportunity to reflect on our life. Taking the time for spiritual renewal by joining an organized retreat is much nicer. We will be visiting Mahaprabhu's pastime places. We have also worked on a travel plan. This is our next kind of thing, which I've got a very good feedback from Hema Mataji and a few others. So it gives you a full idea of the places we are covering. We are flying out on 8th of February from London Heathrow, stopover in Delhi, direct flight. And then we go over to Calcutta, where we spend Ulta Danga and Srila Prabhupada's birthplace. These are 2 very prominent places for devotees to visit. From there, we go over to Mayapur, and in Mayapur, we'll be covering Navadip. We'll cover Yogapeeth and Srivasangan, the ground zero of the Sankirtan movement. We'll go to Godrumadeep. We will go to the Bhajan Kutir of Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj. We will go to Vishnu Priya's temple there, very beautiful temple. We will go to Bhakti Vinod Thakur's Swananda Kunja, place where Bhakti Vinod Thakur has a railway track all the way to where he was staying, because that's what the Britishers built for him. Then we go to the famous Jagannath temple in Mayapur called Rajapur. So these are some of the places we will visit in Mayapur over the 4.5 days we are there. And then the idea is to take on the, what date was it? I think 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. On the 15th, from Mayapur, we leave after lunch. We will check out in the morning early, pack our bags, leave it, go out, come back, and then have lunch. And then we leave around 3 o'clock. That's the rough idea, to go to Shantipur. Shantipur is a place of Advaita Acharya, where he prayed for Mahaprabhu to appear. And from there, we will go to Jagannath Puri, straight in. It'll be a comfortable luxury coach. I'm hoping it'll be a Volvo, just waiting for a confirmation. So it'll be a AC Volvo, so we can sleep. And next morning, we arrive in, by Mahaprabhu's mercy, in Jagannath Puri. And there we will visit these places. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's house. We will go to Siddha Bakul, which is a place of Haridas Thakur. We will chant the rounds in the same tree where Haridas Thakur chanted. We will hear from Madhavananda Prabhu on the holy name. And then we go to Dandabhanga, is the place where Lord Nityananda broke the danda of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just after his sannyas. Very beautiful pastime took place there. We go to Gambhira. Gambhira is such an important place where Mahaprabhu, in his last 12 years of 17 years, he went deep in his devotion. It's a very profound place. And there's, I remember Tamanchula's Kirtan we did there. Then we go to Tota Gopinath and Chatak Parvat. We will be going Tota Gopinath, believe it or not, every morning, hopefully at 5:15 Aarti, because we will be leaving at 10 to 15 minutes walk from this place. Where we have the accommodation. So we'll get to see the Aarti, come back, have our own Guru Puja. I've hired halls wherever we are going. So we have our own hall. We will all do Bhagavatam classes in the morning, a whole Prabhupada Puja if we can. And then we do Tota Gopinath. And Chatak Parvat is the place where Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur chanted for, I think, 2 lakh names before he started the mission of opening Gaudiya Maths. And this is the place where he wrote the final letter to Prabhupada before he disappeared, before Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur winded up his pastimes, reminding again Prabhupada about the mission. And Prabhupada wrote to him, I'm a Grahastha, what can I do? And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said, you preach in the Western countries, And then we will see Jagannath Temple. There we will do Harinam outside Jagannath Temple, and you'll have Jagannath Temple darshan. Those who can, those who can't, you can see the chakra from outside, because I appreciate, some of the, unfortunately, they have this thing that only Hindus are allowed there. But my Guru Maharaj, he still goes to the temple. He stands outside and he does the Sankirtan. He does book distribution. And I can tell you, Lord Jagannath is very pleased with him, although he's not allowed to enter the temple. So we kind of cry, and sometimes we feel, do we go, we don't, we take his permission and we go and take the darshan of Lord Jagannath. That's how we do it, actually. And then hopefully when we depart for Bhubaneswar on the last day, which is 20th, we will try to stop at Sakshi Gopal. It is tentative because there is a thing about the Pandavas there. They become very kind of, asking a lot of domain. So I'm just having to kind of manage that to see if we could do it. We will try to do it. And then we reach Bhubaneswar in the evening. We stop over only for 2.5 hours to Delhi, and then connecting flight in the morning around 2:30, 3 o'clock, and we land at 6:15 to London on 21st. So that's really it. These are the places: Calcutta, birthplace of Srila Prabhupada, Sridham Mayapur, Jagannath Puri. Accommodation it'll be a quality accommodation, at least in Jagannath Puri and Calcutta. It'll be air-conditioned accommodation, very comfortable. In Mayapur, you don't need an air conditioning. The weather is cold in the morning. In the day, it's beautiful. So we have Vaishnav Academy, a beautiful place, and then another place which is called Ishodayan. So it'll be in two places. We'll be staying in Mayapur because of the campus is widespread. But again, we will have a hall to us, and Prasadam will be there as well. And in Jagannath Puri, hopefully, if Lord Jagannath is merciful, we will eat Jagannath Prasadam every day. It will come to our hall hotel where we are staying. What is included in the trip? All your international flights, domestic flights, airport transfers in India, accommodation for 1 night in Calcutta, 5 nights in Mayapur, 4 nights in Jagannath Puri, overnight luxury travel to Jagannath Puri from Mayapur via Shantipur, local travel during the retreats, daily guided trips, 3 daily meals, Prasadam, Sankirtan Seva in Dham. We will start pre-reading sessions in January, early January when I'm back. I'm already in Jagannath Puri and Mayapur doing a youth retreat, helping my Guru Maharaj in a retreat for youth, which is happening in end of December. And then we will start those sessions 4 or 5 weeks before, so we develop a little bit more understand about Puri and other places. And we will share a detailed itinerary closer to the time. Things which are not included are here. This will be our program. We will do a japa circle in the morning, chant together. We will hear in the association of devotees. We will do some service to the Dham, Harinam, journal writing, and if possible, some book distribution. This is a retreat meditation you can read from Bhaktivinoda Thakur. I'll share it with all of you. Talks about how we can meditate on going to Dham. These are the prices for the Dham. Again, the feedback I had, I was very conscious because I want to really try and keep it as much as service. But what I have done, if you notice here at the bottom, I have now a atoll protected license, and I am so I can even book flights for you. If you wanted to fly to India or any other destination, feel free to reach out to me. Happy to be of service. Because I have access to many flight consolidators now in terms of to be able to offer that service to the devotees. And I have a full license of atoll, and I'm part of Travel Trust Association. So your Lakshmi is completely financially protected. The cancellation terms are already there, and this is all inclusive price. But obviously, as you can appreciate, international flights are already very expensive. So we had to put an early bird offer if booked by 10th of July. And you just have to pay 50% now and 50% before the end of October. The cancellation terms are mentioned, which are again reasonable for you to make a decision. So I'll stop there. And that was Madhavananda Prabhu, by the way. Sorry, I must share him. He's very amazing devotees. And we will have few other guest speakers. I'm just waiting. I'm connecting with Braj Bihari Prabhu and few other devotees who might be in fact there at that moment, because there's a GBC meeting happening. So we will definitely have in Mayapur a couple of senior devotees who will have some nice association as well. So that was it. I don't know if anybody had any questions or anything.
Prabhuji, sorry, Prabhuji, but quick question. Do you aim to do this every year, Prabhuji?
So Mataji, the Jagannath Puri and Mayapur retreat, I'm difficult to say it because I'll have to, yeah, it's difficult to say, but at least it should be every alternate year, if not every year, Mataji.
Okay.
Because I'm doing Vrindavan this year, next year Jagannath Puri, Mayapur, but let's see, Krishna willing, Mataji.
And Prabhuji, can my mom, if I come join from here, can my mom join from India?
Yeah, we can work it out, and then she can just take a without flight package. So I can offer that, Mataji, and yeah, that might be cheaper as well for her to join. So you can do that, Namrita Mataji, absolutely.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
No problem, Hare Krishna. Okay, devotees. So, sorry, was somebody trying to say something? Okay, great. Well, yeah, thank you so much for your time. Feel free to reach out to me if you're interested. Then I'll be happy to, take your registration request, and hopefully we can go on a nice retreat. Thank you, everybody. Vancha kalpatarubhasya kripa sindhubhe vacha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Thank you, Hema Mataji, for mentioning and allowing me to present.
Like an amazing yatra, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna, Prabhu.